Did someone say fabulous wishling in the house? Leona thought as she strutted down the Arts Center main hallway with Scarlet and Sage. I feel so entirely wishling. I might even fool myself. Whitney, Nell, and the rest of their girl crew instantly took notice of Leona's dramatic entrance. They sashayed toward the Star Darlings in one tightly knit group, almost as if they were stuck to one another. Whitney pointed to the streak in Leona's hair and called out, "What's that, new girl?" "Hi, I'm Leona. What's what?" Leona asked, trying to figure out a way to somehow avoid the question. Scarlet bowed her head, hoping to make herself disappear, which on Wishworld was impossible. She knew that, of course, but she tried anyway. "Did you really have to call that much attention to yourself?" Scarlet whispered to Leona. Sage agreed with Scarlet. Lady Stella had made it very clear that maintaining the Star Darling's secret identity was of utmost importance to the success of the Wish mission. Sage was about to remind Leona about the sensitive nature of their visit when the group of girls moved in even closer and surrounded the 3 Star Darlings. "You need to tell us who did your hair, like right now," Nell demanded. Pointing to Sage, Whitney gushed, "That shade of lavender in your streak is something I don't think I've ever seen before. It's a maze." Sage felt her face warming. She must have been blushing. That's what Wishlings called it anyway. On Starland, whenever a starling was overcome by feelings of embarrassment and didn't know what to say, she simply glowed brighter than usual. On Wishworld, Wishlings apparently turned a bright shade of red and their faces heated up. Racking her brain, Sage tried to figure out if a maze was a good thing or a bad thing. She quickly went through all the slang words she had pulled up on her Stars app when she'd been studying Wishworld vocabulary words. But she didn't remember seeing that one. From the looks on the faces of the enthusiastic group of girls, Sage guessed it was a good thing. "A maze to you too," she told the girls. Whitney enjoyed Sage's awkward attempt at fitting in. "You're so cute, you just don't seem real." Another girl in the group eyed Sage, Leona, and Scarlet standing together. "Hold up." She backed away from them to get a better view of all 3 Star Darlings. She noticed Scarlet's fuchsia streak now. "All 3 of you have streaks in your hair. What's going on with that?" Sage covered her face with her hands. She couldn't believe they had aroused so much suspicion so soon into the mission. Then Whitney shouted, "I love it!" The rest of the Wishling girls all laughed together. The Star Darlings didn't understand the Wishling humor, but they were relieved and laughed along with them. It was their attempt to blend in with the students. It turned out Wishlings were more trusting than Professor Margaret Dumar had led them to believe in their Wishworld relations class. Not only did the Wishlings believe that the colorful streaks in the Starling's hair were fashion statements, they also couldn't wait to get theirs colored exactly the same way. Leona turned to her friends and whispered, "We're trendsetters. How cool is that?" Sage breathed a huge sigh of relief. Their identities were still safe. After-school performance workshops of all creative disciplines were fully underway at the bustling Arts Center. Dancing, singing, acting, drumming, piano playing, chorus. It was all happening. Creativity burst from every direction and from behind every rehearsal room door. The Star Darlings agreed they would stay in touch on their Stars apps and made a plan to split up and then meet back at the storage room in 1 hour. "Deep breaths, Starlings," Sage told Leona and Scarlet. Deep breaths. Scarlet glided down a long hallway of practice rooms. From behind the closed doors, she heard the muffled sounds of young musicians practicing their instruments. There were the low tones of a French horn and trombone flowing from one room, and the high-pitched notes of a pair of flutes from another room. The beautiful cacophony of sounds made Scarlet miss playing her own music with the Star Darlings band. She felt most content, most Scarlet, when she was sitting at her drums, lost in a song. Music helped her feel less of an outsider and more connected to herself and her bandmates. She reached into her backpack to check that her favorite drumsticks were safely tucked inside. She had brought the drumsticks all the way to Wishworld with her as good luck charms. Scarlet breezed by a practice room that appeared to be empty. She used her special powers to unlock it and slipped inside. Savoring the quiet of the room, Scarlet inhaled deeply. When she turned on the lights, standing before her was a drum set, as if it was just waiting for her. She peeked out the door and down the hall to check if any students were coming. All the student musicians were busy practicing in their own rooms. The hall was empty. Confident she was alone, Scarlet sat down at the drums, pulled out her hot pink drumsticks that had traveled so far, and started to play. Soon she got lost in the rhythms. She felt overwhelmed by the thoughts rushing through her head. She was on a crucial wish mission, yet she couldn't help having the feeling of wanting to escape it all. If only she could really take time to explore the wonders of Wishworld and what this special place had to offer her. The training at Starling Academy had prepared her for this mission, but it hadn't prepared her for the restless feelings inside. She soon let those thoughts pass and got lost in her drumming. All of a sudden, she felt a tap on her shoulder. She leaped off the drum throne, pointing her drumsticks at the intruder and prepared to use them as weapons. "What is going on?" Scarlet asked, trying to assess the situation, channeling all of the education that had led her to this wish mission. A cute wishling boy had his hands up, in an exaggerated gesture meant to convey innocence. "I was going to ask you the same thing." He smiled, then took a closer look at Scarlet and the drumsticks she was pointing at him. "Please don't hurt me. I'm just a trumpet player." Are his eyes especially green? Scarlet wondered as she looked at him. Then, shaking off the thought, she quickly found the words to answer him. I was just leaving. Sorry about that." She put the sticks in her backpack and made a beeline for the door. Something about this wishling threw her off her game, but she knew better than to overreact. "You belong here, Scarlet. You're a wishling too, remember?" She was trained for situations just like this one. Why had this boy frazzled her? "Wait," he said. "I didn't catch your name. That's because I didn't throw it to you." He laughed. "Okay, so?" "So?" Scarlet stalled while she tried to figure out what to do next. She didn't want to rush out of the room too quickly, for fear of raising suspicions. "You're right. I should introduce myself first. Let's start again." He promptly left the room and then walked back inside. This time he offered his hand for Scarlet to shake. "Hi, I haven't seen you around here and I wondered what your name is." "And?" Scarlet asked, trying to find a way out of this awkward conversation as quickly as possible. The boy seemed to enjoy Scarlet's impertinence, although that wasn't her intention. "My name is Maxwell. What's yours?" Why was he so insistent on knowing Scarlet's name? Her heart fluttered so fast it echoed throughout her body. Wishlings shouldn't have this kind of effect on a starling, she thought. It went against what she had studied on Starland. She was feeling weird. She rushed out of the room without speaking another word. Just then, Scarlet's stars app flashed. Sage needed her to go to the main theater right away. Sage had spotted Vivicca and the Wisher. As Scarlet raced down the hall, she reminded herself, "Boys are just distractions. I'm on a wish mission to save Starland, hello?" And 1 and 2 and 3, Pete, the choreographer, called out to a class of 15 wishling dancers. Plus Leona. Leona thought of herself as a decent dancer on Starland, but standing in the middle of a wishling dance studio trying to keep up with the gifted ballerinas in the room proved to be a challenge. She couldn't give up now, since blending in meant not calling too much attention to herself. She had promised Sage and Scarlet she would stay focused on the mission no matter what. Pirouette? Pas de deux? These were terms she had never heard of up on Starland. Dance on her home star was more freeform, more improvisational. There weren't names for moves. What was she supposed to do now? Pete wove through the group of dancers. "Dancers, over to the wall. We're going to take it one at a time across the room," he commanded. Leona counted out the steps in her head. 1 and 2 and... Just when it was her turn to dance the combination in front of the whole class, her stars app flashed. The choreographer had a no-phone policy in the classroom, so he was furious with her. "Shut it off," Pete said, glaring at Leona. She used the special persuasive power starlings have over wishling adults to her advantage and told him, "I have to go somewhere right now. It's okay with you." Pete responded by opening his arms and saying in a soft, patient voice, "You've got to do whatever you need to do. It's okay with me." Leona raced across the floor and grabbed her backpack. Looking back around the room, she said sheepishly, "Family emergency." The class fell silent and so did the choreographer, who gave her a sympathetic look. He said, "Go on, honey. Family is everything." Leona waved goodbye to him and the other dancers. "So true." She turned the corner and holo-texted Sage, "What's up? I have Vivicca and the Wisher in my sights. GET to the main theater now. Do you have any idea where Scarlet ISS?" Just then Scarlet turned the corner and appeared right next to Leona. "Scarlet!" Leona screamed. Scarlet hushed Leona. "We talked about not making a scene, remember?" She grabbed Leona's hand. "I know, we need to get to the theater. Come on, let's go." "Vivicca!" Sage spotted Vivicca from behind, so luckily Vivicca hadn't seen her. Vivicca's transformation into a pale-haired Wishworld teen, dressed in all black, with spiky heels and bright blue nail polish had thrown Sage for a moment. But as Sage got closer and saw the silvery blue streak in her hair, discreetly tucked behind her ear, she knew it was Vivicca. And she knew the girl was with the Wisher. Lady Stella hadn't known how much negative energy had overtaken Vivicca's body, so it was nearly impossible to determine the extent of its power. Sage waited anxiously for Leona and Scarlet to get to the theater. She suspected that she wouldn't be able to confront Vivicca alone. Why else would Lady Stella have sent 3 star darlings for this wish mission? She hid toward the end of a side row in the darkened theater with her eyes fixed on Vivicca and Clara, who sat next to each other while other acts rehearsed on stage. Vivicca still hadn't noticed Sage. She was too busy stealing all of Clara's attention. The two were friends now, apparently, and Vivicca was trying to find a way to understand more about the bad wish and win Clara's trust with her charms. Clara smiled. "I've never had a friend like you, Vivicca. You seem to be so interested in me." Her eyes glazed over as she looked at Vivicca. "I can almost guarantee you won't ever have a friend like me again?" Vivicca's necklace sparked, but as a wishling, Clara couldn't see the sparks. However, the negative energy had already had an effect on her. Now that Clara was under the spell of the negativity, Vivicca began to transform and cloud Clara's perspective. She started by convincing her that Holly had never been a good friend to her, and zapping any good memories that Clara had of her friendship with Holly. As long as the negative power in Vivicca's necklace remained strong, Clara was no longer completely in control of her own thoughts. Vivicca's necklace continued to sizzle. She manipulated Clara by pointing to Holly, who was standing nearby, surrounded by Whitney and her girl Click. Holly noticed Clara looking her way. She waved to her, but with Vivicca's negative forces at work, Clara saw the friendly gesture as fake. Clara turned away, annoyed, and Holly turned back to the group of girls, visibly hurt by Clara's dismissal. Whitney, Nell, and the rest of the girls were circling Holly, admiring just about everything about her. "How do you do that braid? You always have such cool braids and hairstyles. You need to vlog about it," Whitney insisted. "Agreed, a vlog. That's perfect. I would totally follow you," Nell affirmed. "We know, Nell." Whitney smiled and turned to Holly. "We all want to be there when you're a star on Song and Chance, promise?" Holly blushed and hid her face. "Come on, you guys. Anyone here could get picked for the show, not just me." As both girls vied for Holly's attention, all Holly could think of was how her best friend was no longer talking to her. Vivicca pointed to Holly, working her negative influence over Clara. "Look how much she enjoys being the center of attention. She doesn't even care that you're sitting over here." Clara agreed. "You're right, she's not even looking at me. I don't know how I'd handle this without you." Vivicca sensed an opening to further influence her wisher. She had succeeded in gaining Clara's trust, and now she needed to figure out how she could guide Clara toward actually making her bad wish come true. Leona and Scarlet entered the darkened theater, undetected by Vivicca. Luckily, the only light in the large theater was on stage. Sage spotted her friends and immediately waved them over to her. They snuck around the edge of the theater to the back row. Wordsworth shouted to the booth at the back of the balcony, "Lighting team, spotlight over here, please." All 3 star darlings ducked down out of view as the spotlight panned the audience. Vivicca turned in the direction of the star darlings. She still didn't see them, but she didn't have to either. This time she sensed their presence. Her highly tuned intuition told her that a star darling was nearby. Under her breath, she taunted, "Welcome to Wishworld, Star Dipper." Sage, Leona, and Scarlet stayed hidden behind the seats. None of them spoke to one another, even after all 3 of their wish pendants flashed. They all felt the same thing. "Vivicca knows we're here." Sage quickly brought the star darlings up to speed on what she had observed so far. In a hushed whisper, she told them, "Vivicca has some sort of negative hold over this girl, whose name is Clara. I've been watching them both. It's like Clara is under a spell. We need to find a way to get to Clara before Vivicca helps her make the bad wish come true." All charged up, Leona explained that she could use her Wishworld power, which was super hearing, to eavesdrop on Vivicca and Clara's conversation. "I'll find out what the bad wish is and what they're going to do." Sage nodded. "Sounds like a plan," Scarlet agreed. "Good luck, Leona." Scarlet caught herself softening toward her roommate and quickly shook herself out of it. What was happening? Could Wishworld be changing her? Leona wasn't used to Scarlet being so encouraging. It threw her for a moment, but she quickly got back to focusing on the mission. She closed her eyes, touching behind her ears with each of her hands, and then zeroed in on Vivicca and Clara. She listened for a few starmans, then turned back to the star darlings. Sage leaned over to her. "What are they saying?" she asked anxiously. "Nothing," Leona whispered. Sage lifted her head to observe Vivicca and Clara. They were engaged in lively conversation. "I can see them talking. They can't be saying nothing." Leona opened her eyes wide and motioned to Sage to quiet her. "Wait, I hear something. It's just not coming in clearly. Let me try again." Rehearsal would be over soon. It was crucial to get wish-granting information from Vivicca and Clara while the Star Darlings had them in view. "We don't have much time, Leona," Sage whispered urgently. Scarlet leaned in closer. "We can't hide behind these seats too much longer without a wishling catching on and wondering what we're doing." Leona waved at both Sage and Scarlet to stop talking. "I've got something, shh." Leona closed her eyes. Then she opened them again and held her ears. "It's just noise." Suddenly she jumped, screeching. "Ouch, sounds like a bot that needs retuning." Sage slumped down, a bit defeated. "Must be the negative energy field that Vivicca created around them. She's stronger than I thought she'd be." She tapped her head a few times with her finger. "Think, Sage, think." Scarlet stretched her legs and then finally stood up, tired of hiding from Vivicca, especially since Vivicca obviously knew they were there. She immediately caught Vivicca's eye and casually waved at her. Vivicca casually waved back. Both played it cool. None of the wishlings in the theater noticed anything strange, since the theater was still dark, and Vivicca and Scarlet appeared to be normal teenage girls just waving at each other. The possibility that they could be starlings representing good and evil, who held the future of their home star in their hands, never crossed any of the wishlings' minds. Scarlet kept her eyes locked on Vivicca and Clara. Out of the corner of her mouth, hardly moving her lips, she told Leona and Sage, "She sees me. Now it's my turn to try something." Sage checked her stars app for any indication of the Star Darlings' positive energy levels. As she suspected, the levels were dwindling. She looked up at Scarlet. "It's all you. How can we help?" Scarlet, usually defiantly independent, surprised Sage and Leona by asking them both to follow her. "Come on, and stay close." Leona looked at Sage. Sage just shrugged and followed Scarlet. Leona was right behind her. Wordsworth stood on stage giving final directions to the lighting designers before rehearsal ended. "Spotlight over here." The spotlight shifted, nearly exposing the Star Darlings as they headed down the aisle toward Vivicca and Clara. They ducked just in time. "I'm thinking of the first act opening from the audience," Wordsworth shouted, pointing to Vivicca's seat. Right about there, the spotlight shone directly on Vivicca and Clara. The Star Darlings, led by Scarlet, snuck farther down the aisle. "I'll take care of Vivicca while you two grab Clara's attention and get her away from Vivicca," Scarlet ordered. Wordsworth instructed the lighting student on the spotlight. "Okay, shut it down. We've got it." With the spotlight turned off, Scarlet moved closer to Vivicca and applied her ability to manipulate gravity to try to lift Vivicca off her seat. But Vivicca held on to the armrests. Her necklace crackled and vibrated. The negatites were still strong. Scarlet tried again but had no power over Vivicca. As Scarlet walked away, Vivicca turned and shot her a nasty smirk. Meanwhile, Clara had put her headphones back on and was listening to the song she had written to perform for the show, unaware of the struggle right next to her. But the Star Darlings could see there was a force at work that none of them had prepared for on Starland. Scarlet returned to her friends. Out of breath, she apologized. "I tried, it just wasn't happening," Leona reassured her. "No worries, we'll figure it out." Suddenly, the lights flickered on and off. Wordsworth announced the end of rehearsal. "That's a wrap. I don't need to remind you that the show is 3 days away. Bring your best stuff tomorrow. Now get some rest." Just as the lights went on, Sage pointed to the spot where Clara had been sitting with Vivicca. "They're gone." Then Scarlet noticed a girl standing at the center of the adoring group of girls led by Whitney and Nell. "Who's she?" Scarlet asked Sage. Sage recognized the wishling girl. She could feel her wish pendant glowing. "Wait, I saw Clara and Vivicca looking at her just before you and Leona arrived." The girl waved at Clara from across the theater, but Clara ignored her and turned away. "I didn't think anything of it at the time, but now, maybe she's part of the bad wish," Leona said, finishing Sage's thought for her. "Yes, let's find out more," Sage said, gaining momentum, convinced she was closer to understanding the true nature of the bad wish. Her intuition told her that the girl would play a role in the wish mission, but she wasn't sure how yet. Sage noticed that the girl had a special glow about her, not the shimmering glow that starlings had on Starland, but another kind, like she was shining from the inside. As they got closer to her, all 3 of their pendants glowed, Before the star darlings could reach her, the girl left the auditorium. Scarlet slipped out after her. Leona and Sage weren't as lucky. Whitney and Nell spotted them and waved them over. They were all wearing different colored streaks in their hair. Leona smiled, seeing how the trends she had set were taking off on Wishworld. She pointed to Whitney's bright red streak. Like the hair! Nell showed off her lime green streak, twirling it around her finger. Thanks for the inspiration, new girl? Sage had had enough small talk and wanted answers. So who's the girl you were talking to a minute ago? Nell laughed. You're joking, right? Everyone knows Holly. She's only the most amazing singer at North Coast. Well, her best friend Clara is also really good, Whitney added. Nell rolled her eyes. Holly is a triple threat, she explained to the girls. Leona's jaw dropped. A threat? Holly is a threat? That was all the star darlings needed right then. Another threat. Leona couldn't believe what she was hearing. Nell chimed in excitedly. Holly is a true star. Only the brightest star at the North Coast Performing Arts Center. She's so ridiculously awesome I can't even tell you, Whitney said. Sage stepped in just in time. She instantly put all the cramming she had done for wishling vocabulary to work. She told the wishling girls, Yeah, I heard she's a maze? She winked at Leona, which helped Leona find her footing again. Sage understood wishling vocabulary better than any starling at the academy. She whispered to Leona, A triple threat is a person who has 3 different talents. Sage managed to step away from the girls and pulled Leona aside. Okay, so back to our mission. We know Vivicca is helping guide Clara to a bad wish, and I'm pretty sure that the bad wish is about Holly. For sure, Leona said. Why else would our pendants glow? The girls looked at each other, running through their heads everything they had learned about the wishlings. What did Holly do to Clara? I thought they were best friends, Leona remarked. Sage paused, then gasped, I've got it. Leona raised her eyebrows, eager to know what she was thinking. Sage slowly explained. Holly and Clara are both singers and best friends, right? But everyone around here thinks Holly is a superstar. Imagine how that would make you feel if you were Clara. It would make me crazy, Leona cried. Exactly, Sage said. It's made her jealous and resentful of her very best friend. Clara has been living in Holly's shadow, and now she wants Holly to fail somehow, so she can shine. Scarlet had walked around the exterior of the building and finally located Holly. She leaned against a wall, studying Holly's every move and not letting her out of her sight. Scarlet noticed that Holly appeared to be waiting for someone. Then Scarlet's heart skipped a beat when the cute boy she had been talking to earlier, Maxwell, showed up and gave Holly a big hug before they walked off together. Okay, wishling boy. If you want to play, let's play. Just for fun, Scarlet decided to use her powers on Maxwell. As he walked down the sidewalk with Holly away from the Arts Center building, Scarlet pointed her finger at him and tripped him. He caught himself just before he fell. Holly leaned over to him to see if he was okay. Maxwell glanced over his shoulder and saw Scarlet, away from the crowd of other students, with a smile on her face. Hi there, it's you, he called to her, collecting himself. Then he said, Have you met my sister, Holly? Scarlet looked straight into Maxwell's green eyes, confused and relieved. Your sister?